Have you ever questioned leaving your current company for a new experience, but you completely enjoy your company's culture? Or wondered if employee resource groups are a good use of time? Or know you need a mentor, but unsure how to go about finding one or a few and building those relationships? Well, today we'll hear from Mallory, a professional in marketing, on her journey in corporate and ways she's navigated to her success. Let's take a look. Well, hello, everyone. I am Tamara Pierce, CEO and founder of the Skylane Company, which is a career consulting firm here to help individuals with leveling up in the workplace and also for your purpose on purpose. And we're here for another show of Career Conversations in the Park. And this is a space where we're able to just lay back and have a light conversation. We'll have just to encourage you where you are in your career space, whether you're in a frustrated place looking to move up within your current company or looking to dive into another space or another industry altogether. And here we'll have conversations just to hear from experts like Mallory, who has been in marketing for quite some time. And so I'm gonna actually let her introduce herself to everyone here today. Mal, go ahead and take the
All right.
floor.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Malerie Thornton. I have been at my current role, in my current job for almost 7 years. I like to say 5 years past what I thought because as a millennial, I thought I was going to be two and out in my job. But I really grown to love my employer, where I work, and the work that I do. I love touching lives through marketing, and I have a lot of fun doing storytelling as well. So this industry has taught me so much, and I can't wait to share more about it tonight.
And I actually just parked that for a moment because I love what you said, and you highlighted that you're a millennial and you've stayed in your role 2 years longer than what you
5 years
expected.
longer than what I
We
thought.
5 years longer? Okay. Let's dive there right now. Let's dive there right now because that's what we see the trend is doing right
Right.
now, where we will get into a position, and once we learn how it works, a lot of times we don't invest the time to change things around in the workplace or in our role to be able to provide a lot more impact. Instead, we just piece out to get higher pay. And so what brought you to staying I guess in your current department or team for 5 years longer than what you expected?
I think as a millennial, we have that reputation of being kind of two and out, three and out. And when I changed careers and changed companies, it was kind of a culture shock to me. My two previous companies were so vastly different. I wasn't prepared, and it was a faster paced environment. It's something I wasn't really used to. I came from a much more conservative company to one that was fun. And I didn't know what to expect. And so I had the mindset that, okay, I'm going to be here, that I'm going to leave. I had never been at a company for that long before. So it was kind of at that point routine. But once I got in and I made some connections, I started networking. I started realizing that I had some amazing mentors that were starting to kind of pop up around me to give me great advice and truly help me out. I look up and it's years later, and then COVID. So then there's COVID that happened a couple of years in. You're kind of like, all right, well, I work for an essential business. So our jobs are safe, thankfully. And then you look up and another year has gone by, another year has gone by. And so for me, what's kept me here is truly the culture.
Okay, that is beautiful to hear because I know for myself, I am a proponent of speaking up for that. Like, though sometimes other companies they may offer more, but you run a great risk of not having, that great culture that you're used to or the relationship that you built so greatly in your current
Mhm.
space. But I'm glad that you love the culture of your company, that they are millennial friendly. Would you say that they are Gen Z friendly as well?
I think so. And I will say I have been on some amazing teams. And so I've been on 2 teams at this company. And so my first team was about 36 of us, and we were all millennials. And so it was really cool to see everyone go through their first together. People were getting engaged, people were getting married, people were buying their first house, having their first baby, getting their first dog, getting their first buy a new car. And so we celebrated each other. And so I will say specifically the culture on my team was absolutely amazing and it was millennial friendly. And I'm sure Gen Z friendly as well, because we understood work life balance. We understood that we were all doing so many fun things. Like we threw a baby shower, bridal party, like we threw parties every week to truly celebrate each other. But that was also normal in the company as well. And so that's why,
Mhm.
again, like the culture piece of it, like the work is going to be there. The work is the work. The work is not going to change, but you do have to enjoy where you're spending majority of your day. And honestly, I did.
It sounds like your team was very engaged, very much so engaged. That is, would you say that I know you're in the marketing department and for individuals that might not necessarily be in marketing at all, that just sounds like a fun department. Would you say that that's just your department or did you just do well with, is that something that comes from the top all the way down with making sure that employee engagement is taking place with the celebrations of different big life
That is
moments?
100% top down. We just took it a little bit further on our team because we wanted to have more fun, and we liked each other. And so, but yeah, it is a top down approach. There are so many programs that are in place to do what you just said, to celebrate, to work on personal development, career development. There are lots of programs and opportunities that are available for us and to us, and it's all celebrated. I'm actually going to a summer party for our entire department on Thursday before an all hands. And so that moment of just getting together, saying congratulations, saying good job, saying we made it through the summer, is always something good. So yeah, it is 100% a top down. Our leadership supports that and really encourages that.
This is another question. Oh, guys, I apologize. You still don't know. Let me back up a little bit and go to the top. And so I'm gonna let Miss Mallory talk about where she started with her career and then what she currently does under the umbrella of marketing. So that you get a little bit more sense of where she's come from and how you can do it as well.
Yeah, so I started off my career from like end of college into post grad in the experiential marketing space. So think about when you go to a festival or a conference and you may see a brand with an activation booth. For a little bit, I was actually a brand ambassador, so contract working, traveling to events, working for different brands. And then I started working for a staffing agency, so I was staffing brand ambassadors and DJs and MCs and models, but still kind of in that sports and entertainment world. From there, I pivoted, I like to say, from a job to a career. And I joined my first corporate job on their social media team. I learned so much while I was there for about 3 years, and I transitioned to where I am now, where I was on their social media team. So the social media team is where we had all the fun. And then now I'm on like a traditional audience marketing team right now.
Okay. Okay. All right then. So that's pretty nice to hear where you came from, more of an experiential space to social media, and now you're where you are now. So this is a question I did have before is have you gotten involved in some ERGs, some employee resource groups within your career? Have you found them to be beneficial? If not, are there any other teams that you've gotten engaged with in the workplace to make it more fulfilling?
Absolutely. Currently a board member on the African American Resource Group, and being a part of that resource group since I joined the company has been so beneficial in so many ways. I think that when I've had rough times, because we all go through rough times in our career, the people that were in that group really rallied around me. They really poured into me and fed me and gave me advice and put me in contact with the right people to be able to make it out of it. So not only do I give my time back by volunteering and planning events and being a resource, they have also poured into me. So I always encourage new employees when they join a company, get involved. It may seem hard, it may be a little intimidating because you don't know these people. It allows you to meet people from across the company who have been where you are, but also just the networking and the advice and then the community that you build that's outside of your everyday working is super important. I did not know how important that was until they were who I leaned on. And to this day, often credit being a part of that ARG with a part of the reason why I'm still here at the company.
Got it. Okay. And it's great to hear that because another thing I wanted to know was, how did you come about getting your mentors? But it sounds like this may have been an avenue to get those connections. Is that the only way you've gotten your mentors in your career? Or are there other avenues?
Yeah.
How did you get to that place where you were easy enough to open up that door to start that
A
relationship?
couple of ways. So I have a few mentors. I mean, not to tell everyone, have a few. Have mentors, have champions. Sometimes they're the same person, sometimes they're not. So one of my main mentors came about through a director. Had a rough moment, was struggling a little bit. And so my director said, "Hey, I would love to introduce you to somebody. I think this person would be amazing for you to connect with and talk to." She had already spoken to that person, and this was at this point 6 years ago at this time, and she's still my mentor to this day, and she still helps me out so much. I value her to the moon and back. And then other mentors have come from volunteering, just older, for me, women that I have met in the workplace who sometimes just ask a question like, "Hey, can we go get some coffee?" And we'll sit down and we'll start talking. And I said, "Well, can we keep in touch?" And so sometimes some of my mentors are a little bit more organic and some have been more structured. So both ways, but be open to people pouring into you and understand that people are looking out for you. So I've had that happen to me too, where I've had someone reach out and was like, "Hey, I saw you in this meeting and I would love to talk to you." So I've had that happen to me before as well.
Okay. I also want to pause for a moment to like just give a hand clap to this director guy or a person that exemplified being a great
Yeah.
leader. Because so oftentimes we'll have leaders who just use their power only just to bring in people that they want. But instead of, you know, putting you on a pit plan and just letting you go, that person really saw the value that you bring to the team and wanted to make sure to bring you to another space because maybe you weren't necessarily exposed to a different level of working and they made that connection to take place. So that means so much to have really true great leaders that believe in their teammates and I wonder what they are now, but that says a lot about that particular leader and the fact that you are still there 5 more
Yeah, and that leader is still there. She was absolutely amazing. Like that was on my previous team, and I credit my manager at the time, who he's now like a director in the company, and then my director now, she's a senior director in the company now. They saw something in me, and they knew that I just maybe needed a little bit of help. And I learned again, I had to grow and mature in a corporate way to be able to survive, but also to be able to learn how to show up in rooms, to learn how to be able to communicate. And that's what I got out of my mentor. And I think that they saw that. They said, "Okay, something's not there, but we see it." And like you said, instead of putting me on a pip, which could have easily been done, they said, "Okay, let's get you a mentor. And are you open to it?" because I had to be open to it as well. Getting that type of constructive feedback, you have to know how to take it.
Mm.
And you have to understand that this is just a part of corporate and this is a part of growing. You can't do it by yourself. Let someone help you along the way.
So over and over, I'm hearing that you have a growth mindset because sometimes individuals can be closed and not open to the real feedback, open to
Right.
change. And honestly, it's necessary in order not just to move up, but even to stay in a current role. You have to be open to feedback and moving forward in the way where you want to go to. So, no, that speaks a lot because you even mentioned that from a whole employee resource group perspective as well. You mentioned that it may be hard at first with managing all the different things, but be open to it because it opens so many different doors. So that's excellent. What would you say? What was the most challenging moment in your career, and how did you overcome one example of a challenging moment that you've had, and how did you
Oh,
overcome
I've
it?
had so many. Getting out of your own way and getting out of your own head, I think, is one thing that I've had to learn how to do and has been challenging. It's not always what you want. You work for a company. And I've had to learn how to put my personal feelings aside and make decisions and have conversations that are based on what's best for what's in front of me. I think that would be one example. But then also just thinking back during COVID, that was a very hard time. And so there was a lot of things that were happening, and you have to learn how to do self care. And so taking care of myself mentally became a very huge challenge for me, and again, I had to learn to be honest. And that was a challenge to be able to say, "Hey, I'm struggling." I mean, I cried so many times at work, but it was what do those tears mean? And learning how to ask for help. That was a huge challenge. But no one knows that you need help sometimes until you ask for it.
That is very powerful. That's very powerful what you said. I would say that that brings you to a place of putting pride aside, because that is very huge, especially for us. We like to make it seem like we have it all together,
Yeah. And we
but
don't.
sometimes we
And it's okay. And it's okay to not have it all together, and I had to learn that because sometimes you would let your emotions kind of get in the way, and we all go through things. Like, we work a 9 to 5, but we have a life outside of it, and you have to be able to balance, and so I had to, take one day at a time. But then also too, in the midst of all that, rejection is also something that you have to learn. You have to learn that sometimes your idea is not gonna make it through. So being told no in the office place is also something that was a challenge for me because I always wanted to understand why. But it was how I was asking the why that I had to learn. Because for me, I was like, well, if you're telling me no to this idea that I think is absolutely amazing, I want to be able to fix it. I want to understand why you're saying no. What are your watch out? What are your flags? Once I started to understand how my leaders were thinking, I started to think as a leader. I started to think 3 and 4 steps ahead and start to predict, here's a question that I think they may ask, and here's the answer for it already. And so those are just some of the challenges that I face that I think have truly helped me, again, early on in my career to kind of get me where I am now.
You're giving all of the gold today, because we're very creative
Mhm.
people. And a lot of times we do want what we want to take place because we think it's excellent. It came from us, it was a great idea. But what you said as well is that the company has to be positioned that
Yes.
way as well. I just was on the phone with a friend of mine, and they were sharing the same thing, in that for this big conference that they're putting on, they're going to have a volunteering event. Now, I know my friend is really big into volunteering, but the CEO also said we need to increase our volunteering efforts. And so speaking the vision of leadership gives you the green light 100% the majority of the time. But people, keep in mind what Mallory said, is that she's began to understand where the leaders were coming from, what were their most important objectives, and she had an answer for the solutions before she even got into the meeting
And let
space.
me just say,
And so
this
that's
took that took
gold.
years. That took years to learn. That is by far not an overnight thing to learn. Let me be very clear. That took years to figure out I am trying to do something and I'm hitting roadblocks. I'm hitting these speed bumps. I know what I need to do. I don't know how to do it. So now I'm focused on how do I do it? Then let me practice it. So this is not something that is an overnight skill that you will learn. It takes practice. I had an old manager that used to tell us to fail fast. Like you are going to fail. He was like, you are going to fail. You don't know what you don't know. Get up, learn from it, and let's move on. And so he used to always say, fail fast, because you don't learn until you fail. You got to be able to ask the questions. What do I need to do differently? Have those difficult conversations around your failure. Move on, and let's go through. Let's keep going.
This is a question that I do have, because you say that you've worked in the marketing space for quite some time. Social media, a lot of this is technology changes over time, and it changes very quickly. Trends change very quickly, so I can understand that having ideas flow all the time, being very creative, was pretty much a requirement of the role, I would expect. Given that, being in a space of growing to learn what the leaders needed. You said you experienced rejection a lot. I can imagine that others didn't always experience that rejection as well. How did you take that where others' ideas would be received? Was there any space of comparison that rose up on internally in those moments?
That makes me think of the one saying that comparison is a thief of joy. And at the end of the day, it's me versus me. I cannot consume myself with what others are doing or who's getting ahead or who's getting opportunities instead of me. Because if I were to continue to do that, I'd be where I am. Like I have to focus on my growth, and I had to, and I will continue to focus on myself. What are my goals? How am I sharpening my skills and my tools and my presentation skills and my speaking skills and my note taking skills? So I have, at a very early time in my career, knew that what you just said about that comparison was going to get me nowhere. Because if I'm constantly looking at someone else, then I'm not focused on myself. And at the end of the day, I got to pay these bills. No one else is paying these bills. I have to worry about me. And so I don't compare myself to opportunities or other people's ideas because we're on a team. At the end of the day, we're on a team. If someone else's idea is the one that we go with, then I'm gonna support that idea because I'm gonna bring my skill set to that idea. So I may not have been the one who got us there, but we're going to keep going together. I'm not going to get left behind sulking in the shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I don't think anyone should have that mindset. You have to be a team player, especially when you work in corporate America. That is key. Bring your skill set to the table. You may do a few things really, really well, and you can apply that to almost anything. So even if it's not your big idea, but if I can do this one thing really, really well and this idea succeeds, then we all win. And I think to me, that's the way to look at it.
Come again, golden what you're offering. As you were explaining, it just reminded me of a great team building activity that I know a lot of people do or organizations do, which is go to escape rooms. And the only way to get out is for everyone to participate. The last time I was in an escape room, it was quite a few of us, maybe seven or so of us. And what was beautiful to see, I stood back and I paid attention to every person that was in the room. One, because I didn't know what I was doing at that point.
They're hard.
So I needed just a moment just to figure out what in the world can I do. And what I saw was that everyone's uniqueness, their skill sets were being drawn in to collectively to make sure that we made it out. And finally I did get that moment where, oh yeah, I'm analytical. I could put this together, and boom, it opened up another door. So what you said about teamwork is definitely golden, and you don't necessarily have the time to pity or worry about comparison when you're working together as a team to make sure that the goal of the organization is being fulfilled. What's next? Where so you've made it to this point of working on the a marketing team. What do you want to do now with your career? Where you're aiming towards?
That's a really good question, and one that I'm still trying to figure out. I am extremely blessed. I love my job. I am in a role that I love. I'm doing something that I feel passionate about, that I care about. It's only up from here. And so it's, what else can I add to my plate? And to my previous statement, where can I take these skills and apply them somewhere else? And so I don't know what's next, but I'm excited for the journey and excited to figure it out. But I'm, always open to whatever door may open for me. So I don't know what's next, but I know it's going to be great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you said you're enjoying the journey. If you could give advice to your younger self the day of graduation day, undergrad, what would you give yourself? What would you say to yourself?
Ooh, wow. I would tell my younger self on undergrad graduation, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Don't stress. All the stressing you doing, I died to move to Atlanta. You're gonna be all right. That's what that it's not advice, but I would tell myself on graduation day, you're gonna be all right.
I absolutely love it because we need that encouragement, especially because we have a lot of anxiety at
Mhm.
that young age. Don't know where to go or what's going to happen next, but everything will be all right.
That's it. That's what I
Well,
tell
that
myself.
is it. That is it for today. Thank you so much, Mallory, for sharing so much with everyone in this community about how to navigate and work through the workplace and make sure to make it through. And so, thank you so much. And, guys, is there anything else you want to share with everybody before we go today?
Let's see. I will share one more thing. And this is something that I tell my
Yeah.
mentees all the time. It's something that I did couple of years ago. When it comes to your career planning and when it comes to figuring out that next move, or when you feel like you may be bored in your role or you don't know what to do, my advice is to do two things. The first thing is to be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself about, is this role for me? Is this employer for me? Am I doing what I want to do? The next thing is be honest with someone else. No one knows what you may wanna do until you say it out loud. And I say that because sometimes your leaders are in rooms that you're not in, and they know about opportunities before you know about them. And so for me, this was very beneficial because when I was at a point where I knew social media in that capacity wasn't for me anymore, I had a very honest conversation with my manager during career planning. And I said, "Hey, I don't think this is for me anymore. I'm gonna still give it my all while I'm in this seat, but I'm interested in X, Y, and Z." And guess what? He took that conversation to someone else and he said, "Hey, Mallory's interested in working over here." Next thing I know, they were doing introductions and I was having coffee chats with someone on that team. And they were allowing me to sit in on meetings and I was learning a new side of the business. But nobody would have known that if I wasn't honest with myself and I wasn't honest with my leader during career development meetings. Just because you say to your leader you want to go work on another team doesn't mean you still can't do what you're doing now to the best of your ability. But it's okay to have interest in other places. And so if I were to give anyone advice, is to be honest and to say out loud where you may want to go and what other teams you may have interest in. You never know what meeting you're going to be allowed to sit in on and just learn and absorb, because at the end of the day, you never know when that next opportunity is coming and someone knows that you're interested. And that's all I got.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And so that's actually one of our core 5 to soar, which is to speak
Yeah.
up. You have to say
You have to.
something. And no one will ever know if you don't say it. And you have to recognize it
Yep.
yourself. That's absolutely right. So, guys, thank y'all so much for welcoming Mallory here with us today. And until next time, you excel, be your best self, and we'll see you next time.